Hello guys, I welcome all of you to the 59th PHARMCAST. So today we are on the 59th day, and essentially it means tomorrow would be officially the last PHARMCAST. And as it is today guys, like always I'll begin with drugs of choice, and today we'll discuss 15 drugs of choice. Some of you had requested me to discuss clinical trials, so today I'll be discussing clinical trials, and I'll keep pharmacodynamics for tomorrow last. And obviously a few questions which I always discuss asked by you guys, right? So let us begin with our drugs of choice for today. Right guys, so we are in alphabet T today. Tardive dyskinesia, the first one. Tardive dyskinesia guys, the drug of choice are VMAT2 inhibitors like valbenazine or deutetrabenazine. So valbenazine or deutetrabenazine, these are drugs of choice in tardive dyskinesia. How they act? They act by inhibiting VMAT2, which further blocks release of dopamine, right? So that dopamine is responsible for tardive dyskinesia. Moving on to the next disorder for today, testicular cancer. Guys, remember testicular cancer, we use a regimen called as BEP regimen, right? BEP regimen, it consists of bleomycin, etoposide, and a platinum compound, that is cisplatin. Tetanus. Guys, what is the drug of choice? See, tetanus, the current drug of choice is metronidazole. Penicillin G used to be the drug of choice, but the current drug of choice is metronidazole. Next one guys, thrombocytopenia. Thrombocytopenia, that is caused by anti-cancer drugs. The drug of choice is interleukin 11 analog called as oprelefkin. So oprelefkin is drug of choice for thrombocytopenia caused by chemotherapy. Next one is guys, thyroid storm. See guys, remember thyroid storm, overall the drug of choice is propyl thiouracil, right? Propyl thiouracil is the preferred drug. And why it is preferred than methimazole? Because propyl thiouracil, it also blocks peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. But remember, if they ask you which is the first drug started in a patient of thyroid storm, then your answer would be propranolol, right? A beta blocker is the first drug that we start, but the drug of choice overall is propyl thiouracil. Next one is tics caused by Tourette syndrome. For tics with Tourette syndrome, guys, remember drug of choice is clonidine. Alpha-2 agonist clonidine is the drug of choice for tics with Tourette syndrome. In case the patient does not respond, then you can go for antipsychotics like haloperidol. Those are the drugs of resort, right? Torsades de Pointes. So guys, torsades, long QT syndrome, which can cause torsades. An acute attack, the drug of choice is magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate is the drug of choice for torsades. It's a commonly asked MCQ. Next one is toxoplasma. Now guys, remember toxoplasma, overall the treatment of choice is a combination of sulfadiazine, pyrimethamine, except pregnancy, because pyrimethamine is contraindicated in pregnancy. It can cause neural tube defect. So in pregnancy, the drug of choice is spiramycin, right? Next one is traveler's diarrhea. Guys, the antibiotic of choice in traveler's diarrhea is ciprofloxacin. Ciprofloxacin is the preferred one in traveler's diarrhea. And remember, the indication for antibiotic, we use antibiotic only if the patient is febrile. If the patient is afebrile in traveler's diarrhea, you have to only go for ORS or IV fluid, depending upon the status of hemodynamic status of the patient, right? But if he's febrile, then only we can go for ciprofloxacin. Next one is very important guys, trichomoniasis. I mean, you cannot even count how many times they've asked trichomoniasis in your exams. Trichomoniasis, the drug of choice is metronidazole. So sometimes they'll give you directly trichomoniasis. Sometimes they'll give you like presentation, like what is the drug of choice for strawberry vagina. Then your answer is metronidazole, right? Alright guys, next one is also important, trigeminal neuralgia. It has been asked many times guys. Trigeminal neuralgia, your drug of choice is carbamazepine. Carbamazepine anti-epileptic is the preferred drug in trigeminal neuralgia. Alternative is gabapentin. Gabapentin can also be used. Preferred is carbamazepine. Now moving on to a helminth, T. saginata. Tinea saginata. So guys, T. saginata, the drug of choice is praziquantel, right? Tularemia. Think guys, what could be the drug of choice for tularemia? Which class of antibiotic? So we prefer aminoglycosides for tularemia, and the preferred one currently, as I've already said many times, gentamicin is the most preferred aminoglycoside nowadays. And the next one is guys, tumor lysis syndrome. What is the drug of choice for tumor lysis syndrome? Now, you know what is tumor lysis syndrome, right? Whenever we give chemotherapy for leukemia, death of a huge number of cells, it increases the turnover or production of uric acid. So I need to block synthesis of uric acid. So what do I give? I give axanthin oxidase inhibitor, that is allopurinol. So guys, tumor lysis syndrome, drug of choice is allopurinol. Next one is typhoid, guys. Say typhoid, if it is a case of typhoid, right? Case, clinical case of typhoid. And then the drug of choice overall is ceftriaxone, overall. But if there is a patient who does not want to get admitted, and for OPD based management, he will ask you for an oral drug. Then the oral drug of choice is cefixime. Oral drug of choice is cefixime, but the overall drug of choice is ceftriaxone. Carrier of typhoid, guys, to treat carrier stage, the drug of choice is ciprofloxacin. Next one is urticaria. Guys, urticaria, antihistaminics are the drug of choice, and I don't think I need to explain you that second generation drugs are preferred, right? Because they are less sedating. They are more preferred. So guys, that's all in the section of drug of choice for today. And now let us talk a little bit about clinical trials. So guys, in brief, I'll tell you some things about clinical trials. So you know that we do not test drugs directly in humans. So before testing a drug in humans, we test them in animals, and those are called as preclinical trials. Sometimes they ask you in which phase humans are not participants. That is your preclinical trial, right? Then we move on to clinical trial, and there are 4 phases, basically mandatory 4 phases, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in first phase, what is my main aim? So guys, remember, whenever I develop a drug, what do you think with a new drug? What do you think is the most important thing I'm looking at first? Efficacy or toxicity? Think, guys, think. Now, let me ask you something. A drug is very efficacious, but it is very toxic as well. Can I use it? No, it is wastage. So before I bang my head with efficacy, I need to find out how toxic is the drug. Because if it is too toxic, as it is out. Because to prove efficacy, it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of hard work. So before moving into efficacy, I need to look at toxicity. So phase 1 is, mostly about drug toxicity. So we determine drug toxicity, and we determine a dose that is called as MTD, maximum tolerable dose. Why? Because whatever desirable effect I want, it should be below MTD. That is one aspect. Second aspect, we determine pharmacokinetics and dynamics of a drug also in phase 1. And remember, PK/PD of a drug is always phase 1, right? And that is why phase 1 is called as human pharmacology and toxicity study. Now I move to phase 2 trial, right? And in phase 2 trial, what I find, first of all, dose. So remember guys, dose is not determined in phase 1. Maximum tolerable dose is determined in phase 1, but dose of a drug, right, in which you'll use in patient is determined in phase 2, and efficacy is determined in phase 2, right? So efficacy is determined in phase 2 at a particular dose range in which it would be used. So in phase 2, we use patients for the first time. In phase 1, we use normal healthy volunteers, 20 to 100. Phase 2, we use patients somewhere around 100 to 500 patients, right? And then once I prove that the drug is efficacious and safe also in patients, I move on to phase 3. So what I do in phase 3, whatever I do in phase 3 is exactly similar to phase 2. So the only thing that changes in phase 3 with respect to phase 2 is the number of patients, which was 100 to 500 in phase 2, now becomes 500 to 3000. So few thousand of patients are taken in phase 3, because if the number of subject increases in a trial, what decreases? Error decreases. So what I'm trying to do here is to decrease error, right? So that my study is more credible. So in phase 3, what we do, we confirm the safety and efficacy, right, of the drug. So we determined safety and efficacy in phase 2, we are confirming safety and efficacy in phase 3. So words are important. Determine phase 2, confirm phase 3. And after that, the drug is forwarded to the FDA for approval. And once approved, the drug would be sold worldwide. And even after the drug is released into the market, some side effects might crop up, which are mostly rare side effect or long-term side effect. So this rare and long-term side effect we need to determine. And for that, we conduct a trial after marketing of the drug, and that is called as post-marketing surveillance, which is done in phase 4, right? So phase 4, we do it for, to find out the long-term and the rare side effect of these drugs. So guys, these are the basics of clinical trial which you need to remember, right? Alright guys, now let's have a look at few of your doubts that you are asking. Right, so here, alright, Sharan Gowda Patel is asking, sir, is remdesivir approved for COVID-19 treatment? Yes, remdesivir has been recently approved by FDA for treatment of COVID-19. Now, if you want to have a look at detail about the drugs of all drugs, remdesivir, favipiravir, etc., then I have posted a detailed video about anti-coronavirus drugs in my YouTube channel, right? You can search that, it's there. Right, next doubt has been asked by Hemant Dubey. So Hemant Dubey is asking, sir, I have appeared for FMG exam August, but due to lack of document, my attempt was cancelled. And according to recall, I was getting 170. So he had cleared the exam. After that, at that time, I revised my notes 2 times, didn't do much MCQ. So after exam, I'm just focusing on MCQ, doing the 350 MCQs per day with explanation. I've completed about 12 subjects MCQ, accuracy is only about 55%, but it's hard for me to go to notes again, as I already know, but that's not perfectly true. So what should I do? Last 40 days of exam left. So Hemant Dubey, what you need to do is, you cannot just focus only on notes or only on MCQs, right? Rather, if you want to focus on one thing, I would say notes are a better option for MCI as compared to only MCQs. Because see, MCQs are not repeated, right? So the only reason why we need to practice MCQ, the basic reason is our exam is MCQ based, and that is the reason why we need to practice MCQ for daily practice, right? Just so that we are prepared for the exam. But the resource which will allow you to get more positive answers is your notes. So I'll suggest you what you do. See, you might be thinking that I just revised my notes and I'm confident enough, then how many times should I study my own notes? Believe me, another 40 days, if you won't revise your notes, you'll forget 50%. You won't remember, right? You'll be confused between 2 options. So, practice MCQ. So, let us say you are studying 10 hours, right? 5 hours do MCQs, 5 hours again go back to your notes and revise your notes once again. Right? Don't be in this, pseudo confidence that I have just revised my notes and I'll be fine. No, guys. You know how volatile medicine is, how volatile the medical subjects are, right? So keep revising your notes as well. 50% of time notes, 50% MCQs. Alright, coming to the next doubt which has been asked by Dheeraj Kumar Singh is asking, sir, I'm repeater this year and I had completed all QBank notes, videos, everything, right? Is asking, sir, I'm getting around 50% score in grand test, and in today's INI-CET based test also I got around 90 marks. What should be my approach for next 25 days for INI-CET? How should I complete remaining topics and revision? See, Dheeraj Kumar Singh, if you think if you have a good chance in INI-CET, then you can specifically, right, keeping INI-CET in your mind, you can prepare for INI-CET. Because you know that the number of seats are obviously much less in INI-CET as compared to NEET exam. So if you just want a seat of your branch of choice, does not matter, INI-CET or NEET exam, and if you think your chances are more in the NEET exam, then I would advise you to make your timetable based upon the NEET exam, not chasing INI-CET, because in that case, neither you would be able to revise properly for INI-CET nor for the NEET exam. In that case, you have to choose where your chances are maximum, right? Chances of gaining. So obviously, my money would be on NEET exam, and in your place, because I was also in your place, right? I've told this in many pharmcasts that I had completed my course barely 20 days before the AIMS exam. So I had a choice to revise my course in 20 days for the AIMS exam and then revise for NEET. In that case, see, 20 days revision was not possible. First revision, you need at least 60 to 90 days. So in that case, what I would have done is I would have briefly revised something and those 20 days would have been wasted. So rather what I did, I planned my revision for 80 to 90 days and I gave AIMS exam, but just for the heck of giving it, because it was a kind of practice for me before the NEET exam or AIPG exam that we had. So depending upon that, guys, I would advise you to put your money on where the chances are more of getting a seat. Rajiv Adhikari, yes, Hodgkin's lymphoma, ABVD, V is for vinblastine. So it is slip of tongue, I said vincristine probably is vinblastine. Alright, Hardeep Singh is saying, sir, please cover clinical trials. Hardeep, I have covered clinical trial today. Usha Budhe is asking, sir, do you have Telegram? Yes, I do have Telegram channel. Just search pharmacology by Dr. Ranjan and you'll get that. Alright. The last doubt for today, guys, it has been asked by Subramaniam is asking. So Subramaniam, sir, I'm preparing for NEET PG from Feb. I joined institute, but COVID collapsed all. Right. So he's just finished the course in October 10th. But I'm really feeling it difficult to revise, right? It's taking a lot of time. So what should I do? Should I go with revision of my notes or rapid revision? See, Subramaniam Arumugam, so you are an FMG student as well. Subramaniam, what I would advise you is, see, at this point of time, if you'll don't take anything new. Don't take anything new. Because taking something new and studying now, even if it is a rapid revision course, it won't be much helpful. So it is rather wiser to revise what you have studied earlier. So because if you're an FMG student and you've cleared the FMG exam, let me tell you something. For some subjects, whatever you read in FMG exams, that is enough. Nearly enough for your NEET PG. So for some subjects, you can discount yourself, like anesthesia, radio, psychiatry. So short subjects of the ENT ortho, if you're not having time, if you're in so much of crunch of time, you can go back to your MCI notes, which you have made, and I guess you had studied them so many times, you must be, already well versed with those notes. So you can actually use your MCI notes, right? And I'm saying that is the reason being you're having time crunch. So that is one way, right, you can get out of your fix that you are in. So rather than going for a completely new revision video, go back to your MCI notes and that will help you. And for other subjects like medicine, surgery and pharma, biochemistry, micro, so you need to go through the regular PG notes, and that can, see you through. So see you through and you can have a decent rank to get a PG seat. Right guys, so that's all for today, and tomorrow would be our last Pharmcast, and I'll see you tomorrow all with the last Pharmcast. If you have any kinds of such doubts, you can always let me know in the comment box. So guys, because since tomorrow is the last Pharmcast, whatever doubts you have, please do let me know in the comment section of today's Pharmcast, right? And that's all for today guys. Take care, bye bye. This was Dr. Ranjan with you.